Thank you, everyone, for being at tonight's budget work session. First, we're going to hear on the budget engagement results and the proposed budget outlook.
Okay.
So,
All right, good afternoon, City Council members. I'm Sadia Sitar for Budget and Management Services, and super excited to kick off another fun and exciting budget session with all of you, kicking off our first budget work session this month. So happy to see all the excitement. Let's hope you stay pumped up for the remainder of the presentation.
we always do with you, Sadia.
So here we go. We've talked a lot about this, but I'm going to kick off with talking about our engagement process for this upcoming budget cycle. And then we'll be talking very briefly, very high level about our budget outlook for the upcoming year. A lot of it you already seen as part of the City Council retreat. And then I'm going to pass it over to Charnel Jones, our Human Resources Director, to give you all a comprehensive HR update for the upcoming fiscal year 25 proposed budget. So to kick us off, let's talk about what we've all been talking about over the course of the past few months, which is the engagement that the City of Raleigh did as part of the budget process. So here's a comparison of where we were last year and what we did this year. As you can see, last year I started the gig in December. We kicked off engagement in January. It was our first budget, engagement process, more or less, and we did 4 listening sessions. 2 online, 2 in person. We also did a survey, and we got over 3,000 responses. Traditionally, we've gotten about 200 to 300 responses, so it was a huge uptick in folks that actually took the survey and gave their feedback. This year, we really upped the ante. We moved engagement to October in the fall, so October in the budget office was all engagement. Nobody did anything else. And then we scheduled 15 listening sessions, so 5 in person in each of the 5 city council districts, 10 online. And then we hosted the first Budget and Brews event here in the city of Raleigh. So that was really exciting. We had about 40 plus residents come, enjoy a beer, pizza on us, and really just share their preferences and their priorities about what they would like to see in the budget. And then again, the most exciting piece of the puzzle was that we actually conducted the city of Raleigh's first ever participatory budgeting pilot exercise. This was a labor of love for a lot of you as well as us. And we got about 3,000 surveys for our PB exercise as well, and I'll give you guys an update on what those results were as well. So what did we do? Something that we heard a lot from council and the community was, we didn't hear about this. So we made sure that you really heard from us. We worked with our communications department with a great deal, so huge shout out to communications. We were on our website. We were on every website. We were on the News and Observer, WRL. We were on ABC 11, CBS 17. We were on the radio, KPASA, Then we had, like we traditionally do, we do a budget, a very exciting budget flyer that we took to the community centers just like we did last year. It was also on Go Raleigh buses. If you see to the right of your screens, you'll see that we were also displayed on the mobile, on the, I forget what they're called, but those huge, very lovely displays downtown, like displays, yes. And then we also did a ton of social media. We did a lot of paid advertising. We also were really cognizant of the fact that the survey didn't just reach people downtown, but we specifically targeted zip codes in the city with households that had incomes of less than $80,000. And then we also did a ton of radio ads. Something else that we did was, if you wanted to partake in our listening session, we made sure to ask when you signed up if you needed childcare for in-person that was available at each session. And then also if you needed a translator. So to make sure that if you wanted somebody who was Spanish speaking or Mandarin speaking, if those folks were available as well. So again, the word being accessibility, we just wanted to make sure that we heard as many voices as possible. And when we kicked off each of our listening sessions, a little chunk of that was really about education, educating people about what's in the budget, where the money comes from, where the money goes. But then the majority of that was just really hearing from our residents about these 7 key areas that focused on climate change and sustainability, public safety, parks and recreation, general government, transportation and infrastructure, housing, and arts and cultural resources. That's what we did last year. So we kind of followed the same pattern and really had folks have open dialogue about their likes, their dislikes, what they would like to see more budget go toward and what, otherwise. So drum roll, please. What did we hear? Here are the 3 key areas that folks in the listening session said that they wanted more budget focused on. That being affordable housing. Now, as part of the City Council retreat, the manager herself is committed that, yes, this is a big priority for our budget moving forward. We also heard folks talk a lot about an alternative response program. So this is something that the city manager's office, Raleigh Police Department, you've heard, pretty robust presentation on that. And then there's a ton of engagement happening around that as well, that the Office of Community Engagement is also involved with. And then folks really focus a lot on accessible and efficient infrastructure. So what does that mean? Because that's a really broad category, right? That's your sidewalks. That's, I want more bus routes, or I want buses to be more frequent, or I want bus shelters, or I want you to oomph up my bus shelter a little bit. So it was a variety of things. It was also, I want more bike lanes, or I don't want a bike lane. It was also, I don't want a pickleball court, but wait, I want a pickleball court. So we got a plethora of opinions, but that's what these were for. These were people to come have an open dialogue. We weren't there to challenge, we weren't there to judge, we just wanted to hear from them. And one of the things that we did was we were actually compiled verbatim folks' responses, and we've actually put them together in an engagement report, which we hope to share with the upcoming city manager's update as well. So you'll see. And then another thing that I forgot to mention as far as our outreach is concerned, we reached out to all of you here on the table to ask which organizations you'd like to us to reach out to, and we reached out to them as well. So here we go. We hosted our first ever, or conducted our first ever PB pilot for the city of Raleigh, where we for each district. Now I have here in front of you a variety of projects. We had 19 projects that our city manager experts brought in front of our community. How we came up with the projects was when we conducted engagement last year, folks had some key areas that they really wanted us to focus on, so we put our heads together as a city and we said, what can we do for the community? So you will see projects anywhere in front of you from $10,000 to $200,000. So on the left, you'll see projects that were between $10,000 to about $75,000. Those include events like a bicycle fix fest or a digital inclusion celebration. Then we also had projects that range from over $75,000 to just a tad bit under $150,000. That was about citywide tool sharing or digital tech connect, skidlet getaway, those kind of things. And last but not least, we also had some big items in there. And those had to do with community gardens, dog parks, shaded playgrounds. So again, a variety of projects for residents to choose from. And when residents completed our survey, we asked them to provide us not just their number 1, but top 3 priorities. Because as you can imagine, not all of these projects add up to $200,000. So we really wanted to make sure that we captured as much as possible. So here are the results. Another drum roll, please. Thank you. Here we go. So this is what your district voted for, City Council. As you can see, there you go. No surprise there. Our community is very concerned about our sidewalks. So they all voted for micrograbs for sidewalks to and from parks and greenways as their number 1 priority. I was hoping that wouldn't be the case, but that just really goes to show you that folks really want us to focus and put our money towards our infrastructure. And then again, you'll see that we have priority 2 and priority 3. So in districts B and C, things were a little different than districts A, D, and E. District B and C also voted for a project called Computers for Distribution. This project was about $50,000 where you would actually give away refurbished laptops to folks in the community who have need. And then there was also a program that Housing and Neighborhoods actually put forward, which was called Neighborhood Poverty Education Programming, where you would actually, kind of get folks together in different neighborhoods to really understand what the impact is for those that live below the poverty line here in the city. So these were the results of our first ever participatory budgeting survey. I would really appreciate it if City Council would let us go back to the drawing board and kind of figure out what gets us in terms of square footage for those microgaps for $200,000 in each district. And then the goal would be we'll put our heads together and we'll bring you back where those will be, those locations will be in your districts. And we'll come back when we present the capital budget in April. So we'll do that then. So, yes, go ahead, please.
Can you explain why the other districts don't have a priority 3?
Well, because the first two priorities added up to $200,000. Yes, so it was $200,000 for each district. Yes. Yes, Councilmember
The other
Branch.
thing I want to mention too is for the computers for distribution, there may be a way to leverage digital connectors. And also working with those students and helping refurbish maybe some of the computers. So, and also partnering with possibly the United Way. Years ago, they used to have where they would take refurbished computers, and there's another group. I can pass that on. So I think there's opportunities to stretch that amount through partnerships.
Okay, thank you.
And I'll just chime in right there because I feel like priority 2 is all the same bucket because you've got grants for community organizations and we could possibly create like an umbrella that does that for different groups like what Councilor Branch was mentioning. So I really think that priority of making sure the community has the funds they need to start organizations is loud and clear as a big priority throughout the city.
Got it. Okay. All right, well, we've covered budget engagement, and I appreciate your engagement in this presentation. So now we're going to talk about the budget. And I regret to inform you, it's really early in the process. So no big headlines or no big aha moments here. A lot of what you're going to see moving forward is stuff you've already seen before. And that's starting with our revenue outlook. This is a slide that our CFO, Allison Bradshaw, shared with all of you and during the City Council retreat. So we're going through a reval at the moment. It is super early. We're still trying to figure out kind of where we're going to land with that. But we do know that it has meant an increase in assessed property values here in the city of Raleigh. Sales tax again. Just last Friday, we shared our Q2 quarterly financial report, and you'll see that for the first time since COVID, we actually experienced negative sales tax growth. Folks are not spending as much money. And then development activity around the city has also changed slightly. So interest rates, inflation, things keep going up. Folks aren't doing as much finances as before because it's costing a lot more. So that's impacting those development fee revenues. And then we're keeping an eye, and by we, I mean our folks in finance are keeping an eye on all our other revenues. But for the most part, we expect some modest increases in our fees and other revenues. But again, I don't know if I've been hearing reports about the Federal Reserve taking some action either at the end of this quarter of the calendar year or by the next quarter of the calendar year on some interest rates. So we're keeping an eye on that activity moving forward. And as far as expenses are concerned, before I go to expenses, this is actually a slide that we created for you, Councilmember Patton, because you had asked for this as part of the City Council retreat. So Allison Bradshaw had shared that our median assessed value for a median-sized home in the city of Raleigh has gone up. It's no longer that $252-ish thousand. It's now $391,000, a bit more than that. So that property tax bill for your average homeowner, or your median homeowner, sorry, is now $1,242 only for the city's portion of that property tax, right? So what does that get you? And that is something that you had asked. So for a person who lives in the city, hey, what is that getting me? So for that $1,242, about $430 is going to fund our police, our fire, our ECC. $252 is going towards our debt service. $233 is going towards our infrastructure. And what that means is going to our engineering services department, transportation, and then for general administration, that's folks like myself, that's finance, that's you all. The majority of leisure services is our Parks and Recreational Cultural Sources Department, and then the remainder is that grants bucket that we see here in the city of Raleigh. So this is something that you are so welcome. So this is something that we just put together because we really wanted you to see kind of, where we always talk about kind of where the money comes from. So this is a depiction of where a resident's dollar is going, dollar for dollar. And now a really high-level overview of the expenses. So please, don't begrudge me for having a super simple slide here, but really when you talk about the city, it's people for the most part, and it's stuff. So when it comes to people, last year, for the past few years, we've been budgeting for merit increases for our staff. And our base budget at the moment contains those merit increases. But let's face it, we're still in a very competitive environment. We are having recruitment issues, challenges. At the same time, we upped the ante a little bit with our benefits where we offered people 3% for their $457. It wasn't a match, as the manager corrected me at the retreat, rightfully so. So a lot of other municipalities are doing the same thing. So how does Raleigh continue to attract the best talent and continue to stay competitive? And then there's all this other stuff, right, that we purchase, that we buy just to keep the lights running. And that's costing us more money. There is a cost to doing business, and it's costing us more. So I just got the budgets back from the departments on the 9th, and there's a department, I'm not going to name names, who's asking for $4.2 million just to keep the lights on, just over that, because that's just the reality of things. And then you couple with that, we've talked about supply chain issues, especially with our apparatus, so we're experiencing those issues as well. So things are just costing more, just things to just keep the lights on, as I said. And then I'm going to go to my last slide, which is really going to give you an overview of some of the things that we also discussed at the retreat, and that's that roadmap that we showed. But something that we did in order to prepare for this work session was actually kind of go back and look at the range of what it's actually going to cost us as a city to make these things come to fruition. There's a lot of big dollar amounts here, but let's be honest, this is a roadmap. It's not like we can do anything, everything in fiscal year 25. But there are certain things that we have started or made commitments towards. And all of these things we've actually made a commitment towards or prioritized as an organization. Affordable housing being one of them. As you're aware, the value of a penny used to be $8.1 million. After the reval, it is now 11.3. We already dedicate a penny towards affordable housing. Another penny would be an additional 11.3 million. We also, as a city, just signed a contract with Siegel to pursue a class and compensation study, which will be implemented as part of next year's budget cycle. So that the cost of what that would take to fully implement is a range here between 20 to 25-ish million dollars. I've also got ongoing employee benefits here. That's just such a wide range, right? Like we did the 3% for the 457. We're also offering educational benefits to our firefighters, to our folks in the ECC. If we were to expand upon those, there's definitely a dollar amount there. Then we have Dix Park, a fantastic facility, but again, there are some operational as well as capital costs related to that as well. When it means, kind of occupying those buildings, taking care of them, folks needed to take care of those buildings, that landscaping. And then we've talked a lot about the fire master plan. So this $20-ish million is actually what it would take to construct and fully staff a fire station. We are in the process of selecting a vendor for the fire master plan, and depending, what if they say, oh, you need 4 more fire stations in the city of Raleigh, right? So there's a lot there. One thing that we've heard from you all, as well as the community, is a commitment to an alternative response program. So the costs that you see here are what the city of Durham and the city of Denver dedicate to this kind of program here, in their organizations. And then capital and deferred maintenance needs. This is just budget putting its heads together and kind of figuring out what it would take to pay attention to our existing infrastructure in the city. So again, huge, big dollar amounts, but I know that you have seen this before. We just kind of wanted to make it real with those big numbers, but that's just how it is. Yes, ma'am.
About the alternate response unit or program, the 6.4 to 7.2 million that you said reflect
Costs
Durham
from
and is that
Denver.
current costs or was that when they first started?
This is the current fiscal year 24 budgets for both organizations.
How long have they been active?
I did not do that research, unfortunately, but I could get back to you.
Because I would imagine that's not what they paid when they first started. Right?
That is not. This is an enhancement to the program when they first started it. That is correct.
Yes, so we're anticipating our startup costs not to be that high, but just to kind of pencil to make sure that we had enough of an appropriation is what they kind of looked at, some best practices across our peer cities. I think what we're going to bring forward when we bring that item in the budget work session is what it will be fully loaded in the way of staff, professional staff, medical staff, and that will be the large cost drivers. But we've already gotten a commitment from you all for $350,000 to kind of stage up the program, just the framework. So we'll have more to follow as we kind of continue to work with our partners to kind of figure out how many FTEs we're going to need and to get that real number. But we wanted to have enough plugged in to be able to accommodate that.
You're fine. Thank you. So moving along, as far as our next steps, this is the first of many budget work sessions. Our next budget work session is scheduled for March 11th, where you'll be hearing from the city's enterprise organizations. Then we come back to you on April 8th, hopefully with a fully loaded fiscal year 25 proposed capital improvement program, as well as we'll talk about the city's grants and fees proposed as part of the upcoming budget. We hope to bring a balanced proposed budget on May 21st, and our public hearing on the budget is scheduled for June 4th. And then City Council budget work sessions start on that first Monday of June. That's June 3rd. When we first scheduled, we apparently didn't schedule the 17th, so I just want to make sure that all of you have that on your calendars. But we're scheduled for City Council budget work sessions on the 3rd, the 10th, the 17th, and the 24th of June. And then we wanted to also give you all some possible dates of adoption. So you can adopt it earliest on the 10th, or the 17th, or the 18th, and the latest on the 24th of June. And that concludes my presentation. I'm open to any questions you may have at this point.
Do we have any questions for Sadia? Councilmember Patton?
Yeah, hi, thanks for this. Also, again, in case I didn't say it loudly enough at the retreat, like, thank you so much for all of the efforts you and your team made. Like, I know that a year ago, like, you were just, you really, like, did it on a matchstick, but, like, just to see the level of engagement that you brought and moving it earlier so that residents can see their feedback reflected in the budget rather than just telling us at the end when it's fully cooked and feeling like their feedback is not able to be folded in. So just really impressive work from your team. So I want to make sure you know that and pass
Thank
that
you, I
along
really
to them.
appreciate that.
I also was curious how many people took advantage of, not an exact number, but a ballpark of the childcare and the language access. I think those are really important services.
I know. So unfortunately, no one took advantage of the language access. Nobody signed up. And when folks signed up, they did sign up for childcare, but unfortunately, no one who actually showed up to the session brought any children with them. But we're really grateful to Raleigh Parks. Where's Stephen? Right there. Really grateful to Raleigh Parks for always being ready for anybody to come on over and partake in that.
Yeah.
You know.
Awesome. Thanks.
Just one question. I noticed on slide 4, when we started late for fiscal year 24, there was over 3,000 responses. We started 3 months sooner, and it's still about 3,000 responses.
I know, and we did such a massive push. I'm still racking my brain as to why that is the case, but I think as a city council member branch, we do so much engagement.
Yeah.
So I don't know if there's a level of engagement fatigue here, maybe. I could be totally wrong on that, but I just want you to know we tried.
Yeah, but I do want to thank you for starting early, for doing that part. And then I think it being the first year, maybe, it'll open up more doors this coming year.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Councilmember Black?
Hi. So just to be clear from Councilmember Wrench's questions, in previous years, it wasn't participatory budgeting that they were doing engagement on, it was just the budget itself?
So yes, so the Budget Office has traditionally sent out a survey. It was called the Community Budget Priorities Survey, of what residents would like to have seen or not seen. We did the very same thing last year, but we were pretty loud about it, so we were able to get a lot of responses. And this year, we didn't do the survey per se, we did participatory budgeting. So the survey that residents got included the 19 projects that they could vote on for their districts.
Yeah, I think I want to mirror what Councilmember Patton said, getting last names today. Shout out to me. I really appreciate the work that's gone into doing the participatory budgeting. I know we hey, can we do this? And you were like, well, I come from a city where we've done it, but it's not really done here. And you guys have managed to really flip the script on that in a year. I think the linear engagements across the year might just be people not really realizing that the process is a little bit different, and you do have more opportunity to kind of engage in these projects that could happen. So I think there's a lot of opportunity into FY26 to do even deeper engagements around this is a participatory budgeting process. So really good storytelling there, really good work. And one of the things that I didn't really have any questions, you kind of answered all the questions I had. One of the questions I had was about accessible and efficient infrastructure and what that means, and we saw that represented for all the priorities across the city, which is interesting. So you mentioned email subscriptions. How do you get in the email subscription? How do you get in there?
So communications is here in the house, but our assistant director for communications and the communications team actually has pretty robust Gov delivery system. So we have, I'm going to have Robin come here and talk much more eloquently about this than I can, but they were the rock stars here in getting the word out.
let's hope I'm eloquent. This is Robin Deacle, I'm Communications Director. Saudi actually hit the high points of that, which is that we have a subscription service called Gov Delivery, not important, but on our website you can go to a page, you can check off the various subscriptions that you're interested in having, from Parks and Rec to transportation. I get planning ordinance updates, very, very interesting text changes, so you have the ability to sign up for that on our website. And I'm happy to share the link to follow up.
Thanks. I wanted to know for myself, but I thought it might be important for people who are watching to know. So that's it for me.
Great, thank you. Thanks, Robin.
Any other questions? Okay,
All right, thank you so much.
thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. I wish I could say that I would be as short as Sadia, but I'm not today. I'm Charnel Jones, Human Resources Director. So I did ask staff to give you lots of candy so that you can stay along with me for the ride. I'm excited about the opportunity to present to you information on compensation and benefits for the City of Raleigh for FY25. Andrew Bullitt, who is the Assistant Director for Compensation and Benefits, is also here to answer any questions that you may have. As you begin to think about budgeting for FY25, as Sadia mentioned, the workforce is a big part of the budget. And we are committed to delivering a compensation and benefits plan that help us attract and retain a diverse, high-performing workforce. And so today is an opportunity for you to hear a little bit about compensation and benefits programs. And it's also an opportunity for you to give feedback and ask me any questions that you may have so that we can use that feedback and incorporate it into the final proposal to the city manager so that she can make recommendations for the FY25 budget. In this work session, I will cover total rewards and provide a compensation overview and proposal for 25. I will also provide an overview of our benefits, multi-year health benefit strategy, results from the benefits survey and stay survey, and proposals for FY25. You will also hear our next steps to finalize our analysis work and proposals and come back to you in April with results for consideration. So we'll start with total rewards, which is the total package or value our employees receive for the work and service they perform here at the city. When you look at the total rewards employees receive from the city, it's very robust. We evaluate our total rewards every year with the hope of remaining an employee of choice in compensation, benefits, work-life balance, learning and growth opportunities, and recognition. Total reward starts with compensation, which includes base salary and various pay incentives. Benefits include retirement, health benefits, voluntary benefits, and leave to include vacation, sick, holidays, and other types of leave. It also includes promoting a healthy work-life balance. It is the ability to help employees create a manageable workflow and strike a healthy balance between demands of work and other personal responsibilities. And our wellness program and employee assistance program assist our employees in striking that balance. Recognition is also a part of that total rewards. Employees need to feel that their hard work is appreciated, and our Employee of the Year, the Elizabeth Bass Award, the Service Awards at the Employee Recognition Event, and Awards for Service, which is known to some as longevity, are ways that we currently recognize our employees. And finally, it includes a commitment to employee development to provide career opportunities and not just a job. So today we will focus on compensation, benefits, and work life, although we will touch a little bit just about in all of the areas. So buckle up, and we're gonna start with employee compensation. This is a snapshot of all that has been done since July of 2023 in contributing to employee compensation. Over $19.6 million was spent in efforts to reward and retain our employees. The left column includes all employees, and a few examples in that column is our annual pay increases, the $6.5 million in employee bonuses that we awarded, and as we continue to have a longevity reward program that is currently for employees that were hired prior to 2011, we paid out $2.2 million. In addition to everything in the left column, there are some additional pay adjustments that we did in police, fire, and ECC, and it also includes their annual pay increase. And then incentive programs such as sign-on bonuses, employer referral bonuses, and rehire bonuses. And as you can recall, we did expand our education incentive to include fire and ECC this year. The city also moved the living wage up to $40,860. And as Sadia mentioned, we did the contribution of 3% in our 457s for all employees with no employee match, which equated to about $3.6 million. So we did over $19.6 million in adjustments. So on to our proposals for FY25 for compensation. This chart shows what we are proposing, which is pretty similar to what we did on last year, which includes a 5% annual pay increase for police and fire pay structure, as well as the general pay structure. Broadband pay, department directors, again, will have the pool of 3.5% to assign to individuals in that pay structure. Our permanent and part-time and temporary employees, a 1% lump annual pay increase up to the maximum of the range. And then for probationary pay, it will be the lump sum of 1% if you're hired between January 1st of 2024 and March 31st of 24. And we are currently looking at market comparisons and trends, and we'll be bringing back a proposal as well for targeted areas such as public safety and for solid waste services. As you can recall, our annual pay increases is also tied to our annual performance evaluation process, and that will be wrapping up between June 15th and August 30th, with the payout being in October of 2024. Any questions so far?
Just one, just so I heard correctly, as far as solid waste services, there's some more information that's going to come back at a later date.
Yes.
Okay.
That was my same
Councilmember
question
Patton.
same question, public safety and solid waste service you're coming
Yes, it
back
will
with.
include police, fire, ECC, and solid waste services. We'll be bringing back additional. And it's a little bit further down in the presentation, but I knew that it may come up, so I thought I would go ahead and get it out there now.
Councilmember Jones?
Can you go back to the previous slide? The one before, I'm so sorry. What is, I must have lost it, but when somebody has their pay, they can get up to 5%. That's up to, that doesn't mean everybody gets 5%?
So in the police and fire pay structure and in the general pay, they will get the annual pay increase of 5% if they have successfully meets expectations on their evaluation or above. If they do not get that level of a rating, they will not be eligible for the annual pay increase.
And you may not have this number off the top of your head, and I totally understand that, but I'd be interested to see, just as a general, how many of our employees get exceeds expectation. I know you don't, that's something I didn't prepare you with, so I don't need you to know right now, but I'd be really interested to see, just percentage-wise, what we're rating them at and what they're receiving and falling in line with that.
Okay, I can
thank
bring
you.
that information back. So on to the compensation analysis. As I mentioned earlier, we are in the process of collecting data, and we are starting to work on analysis, and it's for those targeted areas in police, fire, emergency communications, solid waste services, and we'll bring that back to you all as well as part of the budget process. Our last compensation study was done in 2017, and as you are aware, we received funding in FY24 budget for a comprehensive compensation and classification study. We have selected a consultant, which is Siegel, and the goal is to ensure that our compensation and career opportunities align with the market and best practice to improve the city's ability to attract and retain talent. And this study will not only look at pay, but we'll look at how jobs are classified, how prepared we are for the future workforce, and it will look at the development of career ladders to promote growth and opportunities. And so this study has kicked off. Recommendations for implementation will come back to you all in the FY26 budget with the full implementation in FY26. So that's all I have for the compensation part. Any questions? Okay. Moving right along to employee benefits. We're going to talk about some of the strategies and the surveys that I mentioned earlier in the agenda. So our health insurance is the most expensive benefit we provide to our employees and their families. We cover over 9,300 lives under our health insurance. And this fiscal year, our health insurance is budgeted around 58, a little bit more than 58 million. Of that, the city pays around 50 million, and our employees cover the remaining cost of the 8.9. We are self-insured, so we contract with the vendors you see on the slide to evaluate and process claims under our health plan while we have responsibility of paying for the claims. This is our multi-year health benefit strategic plan, and the goal of this plan is to make sure that we are meeting diverse needs of our employees and that we are also aligning our benefits with best practices and trends of other employers and making sure that we're providing benefits that are financially sustainable. And you may recall that you saw this last budget session last year, and this was introduced, but this is just a snapshot of the health benefits multi-year strategic plan that was presented last year. All the items that have the green check marks have been implemented or completed, and we are looking at modernizing our plan offerings. We must consider how we manage the costs and ensure that we are offering benefits that meet our employees' needs. So we've had to do some adjustments of our plan for year 25, as you can see with the line through the items, and those adjustments are based on survey results and from evaluations of our benefit packages. So I thought it was important for you all to have an understanding of our employee feedback that we get on our benefit plans. And so I wanted to bring you back a little bit of data that we collected on through our benefit survey on last year, which was administered May 18th through June 18th of 2023. And so that is helping to frame some of the decisions that we made on last year and some of the decisions that we are making this upcoming year. All employees were eligible to participate in the benefit survey. At the time of that survey, there were about 6,519 employees, which included part-time, full-time, and temporary part-time. Of that, we had 1,055 responses to the survey. The demographic section of the survey, was optional. 80% of individuals that completed the survey were full-time, 2% were part-time, and 18% chose not to identify, and so that was an optional category. 20% of the employees that responded to the survey were in years 11 to 20 of their employment, followed by 19% in years 6 to 10, and you can kind of see the breakdown of the rest. 46% of the respondents also identified as male, and 20% of the respondents identified as female. Again, this was an optional category for people to complete. 24% of the respondents were between the ages of 35 to 44, and 23 of the respondents were between 45 and 54. It's also important to note that the average age of our workforce is around 42, and the average years of service is around 9.5 years. Employees were asked their overall satisfaction with core benefits, and 61% were highly satisfied with our core benefits, as you can see with the 42% of respondents rating very good and 19% rating excellent. It was also important for us to know how well our benefit meet our employee needs. 31% responded a moderate amount, which equates to average. 34% responded a lot, and 25% a great deal. So if you look at that, it's about 90% satisfied. To drill down a little further, we asked respondents how satisfied they were with our core benefits, which included medical, dental, vision, flexible spending account, employee assistance program, basic life insurance, voluntary life insurance, telehealth, and voluntary benefits. The green represents the percent satisfied, and the blue represent the percent dissatisfied. The red line represents our target of having an 80% or better satisfaction rate. Some of the areas that did not hit the mark of 80% or better was our dental buyout plan and vision plan. And as you may recall on the previous slide, the city did implement a standalone vision plan, so that kind of helped with that. So if we were to survey them again, that satisfaction rate should go up. Yes.
You do this survey every year? The same one?
Well, not every year. Last year was our first year. We will do it again in 25 because we're still implementing items from.
Got it. Okay, never mind then. Okay, thank you.
Okay. We also asked respondents how satisfied they were with our leave options, which included vacation, sick leave, additional sick leave, petty leave, paid parental leave, service to others leaves, and paid holidays. And based on the feedback, an area to review is our vacation leave. One other benefit to note that we received feedback on was tuition reimbursement. As you can see from the slide, only 62% are satisfied with current tuition reimbursement program.
Could I ask just details on that? I wasn't familiar with it. What is there, like, how many courses can you take? Is it for everyone? How does that work?
It is for all of our full-time employee, and I want to say it's around $1,500. It has not been updated and formalized in a very, very long time. And so that is one of the things we are working on, reviewing that policy and bringing it back.
So it's a $1,500
Once a
support
year,
to
yes.
whatever each year?
Yes, but you have to be enrolled in a college course.
Okay.
And take that, and you don't get the reimbursement until after you've actually submitted your grade for the course.
Okay, thank you.
We also asked respondents about their satisfaction with our wellness program, and 58% were satisfied or very satisfied with our annual wellness assessment. 81% were satisfied or very satisfied with overall wellness program. We also asked respondents about the qualified high deductible health plan. 87% of respondents have never been enrolled in one, and 46% of respondents did not have any interest, and 40% were unsure. And this feedback showed us that we would need to do a lot of education and communication on this type of plan designed for our employees if we chose to move forward with it. There were also some open-ended questions for employees to provide feedback. And we asked employees this question: what benefits are most important to you? And as you can see, the following benefits rated high. Highest was medical leave, 457 supplemental retirement, and dental. And some of these, like I said, items were addressed last year in the proposal, and then there's some that we'll be addressing this year. Here we also asked employees to rate the city benefits in comparison to their previous employers, and the city stacked up pretty well. 56% stated the city benefits are better in comparison to their previous employer. We also asked respondents what benefits would they like to expand or add, and some of their requests received was well-being leave, long-term care, a 529 college plan, bereavement leave, orthodontia for adults, pet insurance, prepaid legal service, sabbatical leave, identity theft, infertility coverage, and that's just to name a few that was on the list. So overall, to wrap up the benefits survey results, it's important to know that 61% of respondents were satisfied with the city benefits. 90% of respondents felt the city benefits met their needs. However, the feedback does show that there are some areas that we still need to work on and improve in our medical benefits, vision, dental, leave, and other voluntary benefits. So, any questions about the benefits survey?
Councilmember Patton.
I have a question about the paid parental leave. That one fell just short of your 80% satisfaction goal too. And I was curious what the primary, if you know what the primary feedback is, do people want longer, or they want to be able to do it in duality with their spouse who might also be employed by the city, or do you have any details about what?
Combination of both, but I can bring you back the data on the very on more details on who said what on percentages.
Any other questions? Okay.
The city also completed a stay survey of last year, and so the stay survey purpose was to enhance our understanding with data collection, and also to be a touch point with the post-pandemic workforce, and to identify opportunities to retain our employees. So the stay survey was disseminated April 17th to May 1st of last year. At that time, 6,437 employees were employed, and that includes full-time, part-time, and temporary. 1,819 respondents that we had for the stay survey. And the stay survey went out through the Loop, through CoreCon. It's targeted emails through department heads and supervisors to get individuals to respond. So why do our employees choose to stay at the City of Raleigh? From the stay survey, 66% of the respondents selected benefits as the number one reason they stay at the city. Job security and stability was the second most cited for continuing to work at the city. And lastly, 36% of the respondents cited they enjoy the work that they do. Respondents also rated items as to why they stay with the city based on degree of importance. And as you can see on the slide, the items were either extremely important or important, were benefits, compensation, job security, and a sense of job satisfaction. So why do you stay at the City of Raleigh? We gave employees the opportunity to write out some of their comments, and as you can see, I'll just read a couple of them. One said, "A sense of pride in working for the city that I live in. Benefits are great, especially now that I have a daughter. Have benefited from friendships and connections made in my department. I enjoy serving the City of Raleigh, citizens and responders with my unique skill set. I also like the job security and health employee benefits that the city provides." So just a few insights from the state survey. Overall, the state survey results showed that benefits, stability, work-life balance, and flexibility were important to respondents and why they chose to stay with the city. From the feedback, we need to continue to enhance recognition, engagement, and learning and development opportunities. Any questions about the state survey?
Councilmember Branch?
Yeah, the 36%, are there any plans to dig deeper into that and figure out how we can increase people enjoying the work they do?
I think one of
I'm
the-
sure, that question's probably more geared this way, but whoever wants to answer.
I think from our end, we are looking at the programming and engagement opportunities that we currently offer, and we are looking at, we've done a needs assessment in our organizational development with supervisors based on the skill sets and things that they see that we need to maybe make this more enjoyable, what opportunities, learning opportunities and development and things that we can offer. So that is one of the ways that we are looking at to better engage. We also have our employee experience group that will be kicking off, and they will be able to give us some also strategies of how we can better engage our workforce.
Cool, thank you, because I know as benefits change and modify, that could fluctuate. But if a person enjoys what they're doing, or they enjoy, a lot of times people stay because who they report to. So I think, I'm a manager where I work, so I'm saying this to all the managers, keep that in mind, that, some people stay just because of you. And so how we treat our employees, I think matters.
Councilmember Harrison?
Yeah, I just want to say thank you for the survey results and all this work. It's really, I think, just eye-opening and helpful. I was curious about how that question was structured in the survey. Still talking about that, benefits, job security and stability, and then enjoying the work. Was it something that, they could choose any or all? And were there more options that they could choose, or is this open-ended? I was just trying to kind of understand how that was framed.
Some of the questions were open-ended, but not these particular questions. They got to rate them, the things that were most important, and it was a long list, but I can provide you more so the questions so that you all can see.
And then the previous slide that had the green, yeah, so then where did these numbers come from? Because that's different than maybe what
These
we
were
said.
the top 3 reasons. When we asked them, they had, it's about 10 or 15 different reasons that they could pick, though, why they chose to work for the city.
And they could only pick one in this case?
I'm not quite for sure. I have to get back with you on whether they only could pick one. I think so, but I'll have to,
Okay, because that might be why it looks not as good.
Yes.
Yeah, okay, great, thank you.
but I'll get that information back to you.
Any other questions? Councilmember Patton?
Yeah. I do think to some extent this does reflect like a multi-generational workforce, right? I mean, we see that some generations have like this idea that you should be in a job, in a career for the value that it brings you personally. And then there are generations of workers who are like, my job needs to pay my light bill so that I can do the other things I love. And so, I do think it reflects a changing workforce. I have also stayed at jobs just for the benefits, so I can empathize with that experience. I was curious about if this was, if there are more questions that aren't highlighted here. I think last year at this time we talked about like an overall employee satisfaction survey.
So I will say that out of the STAY survey, that was a recommendation at some point, probably an employee engagement survey. This was more so high level. We are looking at options to continue on with the STAY survey and to do phase 2, to get more information and report from employees of why they're staying.
Okay, anything else? Councilmember Jones?
So just to clarify so that I understand, when we talked about it in the summer of doing an employee satisfaction survey, that's this. We're not getting anything else at this moment. That is what we have right now.
Yes, this is all that we have right now.
Got it. Okay, thank you.
And just to add to this, before Ms. Jones came back to the city, we were in a position of trying to figure out and right-size our benefits. And so that rose to the top when we had met with employees through various engagement opportunities. And so the first step in that process was to do the STAY survey, which would hit on ultimately those things that employees consider to be most important: pay, benefit, work-life balance, job environment, because we were just coming off of the COVID virtual environment and how we were going to maintain a flexible workplace. And where we landed is 60-40. Employees have the opportunity, if their job allows, they can actually work virtually 2 days a week. Again, that's choice. It's not mandated. I think what we've been surprised to see is most employees like to come to work, because if nothing else, we learned through the pandemic as well, there's synergy and efficiency that is gained from people being in the same space and place, actually feeding off of each other's energy. But we still have, as an employer of choice, the opportunity for employees to exercise, to use those virtual days if they so choose, or remote days if they so choose to. So the next part in that process, as Ms. Jones said, is we put together the employee experience group, and that is the public safety collaborative that's meeting already. And then we have a general employees group that is coming aboard. And out of that, that will help inform what the employee overall survey looks like.
Any other questions? Okay. We're on the down here, I promise. So for calendar year 2025 health benefit strategy, this is just a breakdown and meeting the different goals. So goal number 1 is to meet the diverse needs of city employees. And as you can recall, based on the survey results, we have tweaked the multi-year health benefit strategy. For 2025, we were reviewing the part-time benefits due to employee feedback and also the city leave, and then we'll do another benefit survey. We moved over the exploration of a third plan option with PPO or narrower network in consideration for potential rate increases for spousal plans and employee premium adjustments over as well to 2026. We've added 2027, and as you can see, the high deductible health plan was added here due to the 46% of respondents from the benefit survey not really having interest at this time. But we also know that, again, we need to do some education work to make sure that employees have a full understanding of that plan. So our health plan design changes include us trying to further differentiate between Plan A, which is the buyout plan, and our base plan, which is Plan B. We will be adding infertility treatment to Plan A, as well as a musculoskeletal program as a design change for our buyout plan. Dental plan changes will be expanding our orthodontic coverage under a buyout plan for adults. And then for our vision plan, we are going to give eligible part-time employees the option to elect vision coverage. It is also important that we continue to, for our wellness enhancements, that we continue to improve data integration between wellness and our claims data with the addition of increased wellness activities and preventive screenings to have a healthier workforce. So our current annual wellness assessment includes a biometric screening, a health risk assessment, and a tobacco attestation. We are proposing for 2025 that we continue to have the biometric screening and the health risk assessment, but we removed the tobacco attestation. And that's only because that questions are asked in the health risk assessment, so there's no need to have another form that's kind of asking along the same lines of the question. But what we have added is one additional activity, and that can be a preventive screening, a wellness activity in one of our on-site. programs. It can be a healthy challenge, or it can be coming to our health fair. Any of those things will relate to one additional activity. Also, that you will notice that you have to complete all 3 components, so it's all or nothing, whereas before it was you could do 1 or 2 and get half, but now it's all or nothing is the other change. And the points are listed because it is for us to head in the direction of incentivizing completing the components and incentivizing completing other wellness activities as well. This will require robust communication for us as we continue to look and roll out this new wellness assessment. And so this is the timeline that you'll see for calendar year 2026. And so the biometric screenings will be allowed, and additional activity will be allowed between August 2024 to July of 2025. As we continue to focus on work-life portion of total rewards, we have evaluated our employee assistance program. There are opportunities to enhance that, and our current model is 8 sessions for all full-time employees and 3 sessions for all part-time employees. And we are proposing a new model that will allow for 8 sessions for all employees, full-time and part-time. And this program will also include legal, childcare, financial, and elder care assistance, and unlimited family and personal convenience research, whether that is about pet care, event planning, home improvement, or where to find items for your home. Goal 2 is aligning benefits with best practices, trends, or with other employers. So this is on the screen our current benefit package for our permanent part-time 30 class. And we went out to 30 municipality government agencies and to benchmark part-time benefits. 21 responded to the survey that we did internally. And of that, 50% offered benefits to eligible part-time employees. And we also completed a deeper dive into part-time eligibility considerations. And so we looked at private employers, the IRS guidelines on the Affordable Care Act. And it's also important to note that we only have about 53 positions in this classification. So we are proposing for 2025 a benefit package for our permanent part-time 30 class, and those items that will be added will be vision, dental, basic life, supplemental life, and flexible spending account that they will now be eligible to enroll in. We are also reviewing our leave, and as you can see, there's a plethora of leave that we are looking at or exploring to offer in the future. Well-being leave, which is this is leave that is used for activities for supporting the prevention, treatment, or promotion of an employee's physical, mental, and/or emotional well-being. As you remember, this was feedback that we received from the benefit survey. Bereavement leave, and that is time that an employee can take after the loss of an immediate relative. Currently, we do not have bereavement leave. You have to use your sick time. Birthday leave, also, you could take your birthday off to use that time anytime during the year, your day. Personal leave, which provide time off to employees that can use throughout the year for appointments, religious holidays, vacation, or just a short sabbatical leave. And then we will also take a look at our accrual rate for vacation leave, which was also noted as an area that we need to improve upon from the benefit survey. With the recent changes, with additional sick leave counting towards credible service, additional sick leave will sunset. We are looking at option for employees that were not able to fully maximize the swap of additional sick leave for regular sick leave. And so sick leave doesn't have any cash value, meaning that it's not paid out at the time that an employee separates. Questions?
Councilmember Fort.
So does that bring it sort of in alignment with the issue with the treasurer's office? So is that kind of why you're taking that position?
Yes, because it was sold as or marketed as a benefit to be able to retire, and it doesn't hold that same weight of counting towards the credible service.
So just making sure y'all are not the bad guys in the situation, but
I think you may recall at a couple of meetings ago, you all authorized us to be able to do the swap, and the state treasurer's office approved that swap. So most employees are in a position of being able to maximize the full benefit of what that additional sick leave would look like. While there are some that will not fully be able to, there are still opportunities for those employees to take that time off, depending upon when they depart from the city. So we have done a robust communications campaign around trying to meet employees where they are. We've had individual meetings from email generated or just virtual sessions with up to 200 and 300 people on those calls. And so I think last week we kind of handed out to each employee what your individual scenario looks like, and we have provided office hours and everything to be able to stay in communication with the employees. But again, we want to make sure that we stay in compliance with what the state who manages our retirement program says, because there are repercussions when we do not. So we are really trying our very best with the other opportunities for leave to kind of do in lieu of the additional sick leave to kind of make sure that we've got something else for our employees.
Councilmember Patton?
Yeah, I just wanted to, as you're like reviewing these and considering them, if you go down further exploration of bereavement leave, just maybe an encouragement to have like a very broad and generous set of people who are covered. I've definitely been in positions where like aunts are not covered, like an aunt or some kind of relative is not covered, and you're like, well, my individual experience is the same. I need the same amount of time off or whatever. So if you can have like a generous swath of types of losses that could be covered.
Okay, we will review.
And I will say for the pet lovers at the table, or pet owners at the table, that sometimes even losing a pet could be one of those things. So I don't know how broad you can go, what the regulations and guidelines are, but certainly I know when I've lost pets, it can be devastating. So.
Okay. We will definitely review that and come back with our options. We will also have to update our leave policy 300-98. So we will have to bring that back as well, and it have to be revised.
And we'll have to go to the Civil Service Commission.
If you need me to come over there and advocate for the pets.
Okay.
We're thinking about pet insurance. So
yes, nice segue.
Pet friendly.
We are looking at additional voluntary benefits and others that we can expand. And again, that is looking at the 529 college savings plan, which is people are wanting to be able to do a payroll deduction to save for their child's college tuition. Identity theft protection is one that came up. Long-term disability we'll be also reviewing. We currently have a short-term disability voluntary benefit, but we don't have the option of long-term. And then pet insurance will bring back and expand the tuition assistance program, as well as we are going to take a look at our awards for service and expand that as well. And that will be back in the fall of 2024. Last goal, I promise, that we're staying financially sound or a cost saving for our employees. There will be no adjustments to employee health premiums for calendar year 2025. The city has maintained its highly competitive self-insured health plan and subsidized 85% of its costs on average. And the city also subsidizes the dental plan at 79% on average. In maintaining that richness of benefits, the city continues to offer a free option for employee-only coverage under both Plan B and Dental Core Plan. And these two plans are not the only thing that we still provide. We do health and pharmacy, dental, our employee assistance program that is still a cost, although it's free from the employee. There is a cost that we have to absorb for administration, our flexible spending account, and as well as our supplemental retirements as well. So next steps include completing our analysis for compensation, benefits, and leave options, reviewing our approach with internal stakeholders, and returning back in April for the April budget work session. So I will say thank you for your patience as I walked you through this material. I know it was a lot, but I felt that it was just important for you to hear the feedback from employees as well as our proposals for 25.
Okay. Any other questions?
Just one final question. First of all, thank you, and it actually went a lot faster.
It
than
did.
You think. Yeah, you did a great
I
job.
was thinking.
My question is, I know we have Blue Cross Blue Shield for medical. When does that contract end?
Good question.
It's a good question. We have gone out. It is up for, we are looking at that particular, it's gone out for proposal, and we are looking at that. That change would take place in 25, actually, right, Drew? 2025.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? Councilmember Patton?
Yeah, thanks for this. Making sure that we're a great employer and a great place to work is really important to me. So this is really important information. So thank you. I loved hearing that there's not premium increases for employees next year. I think that's super important. We also saw that benefits are super important to employees. So I think that's a real show of good faith, and I'm glad to see that. I was curious what the uptake is on the EAP. How many people participate in it?
I don't have those numbers, but I can definitely bring that back to you.
Okay, cool.
I think just to kind of take a first stab at it, we talked about this a couple of months back. I think the people that utilize it to its maximum. And the majority of employees do not take advantage. And it is a wonderful benefit. And I think we saw an uptick during and after the pandemic. People just needed to talk to somebody. It is an amazing benefit that we provide to our employee, 8 free visits. And it also applies to your family members, the people that live in your house as well. So we have tried to work on what a communication strategy would look like to bring people more into the know about the benefit. Again, there is still a stigma associated with it. And what we heard from some employees through some outside engagement opportunities was they didn't want the employer to know that they needed to talk to somebody, which is part of the whole issue with mental health and mental illness that we are tackling as a country right now. But we are doing our best to kind of make people know, let people know that this is a wonderful benefit. Just take advantage of it.
I do know that we've had an uptick since we did add the part-time, so there has been an increase, but I don't know the exact numbers right offhand.
Councilmember Jones?
Thank you so much. As was noted in your employee survey, the benefits are a great piece, but also compensation. So I'm really looking forward to what we're talking about in terms of compensation for employees. And I do want to give a shout out and thanks to the budget department for sending that mid-year report in the manager's update on Friday. I'm just juxtaposing these two ideas because I'm looking at page 10, and that goes over our vacancy rate. And our vacancy rate in 2021 was 10.3%, and we now sit at 15.4% according to that. So as we juxtapose that against what we're talking about with employees and how they feel and what is important to them, I really want to wrap those in so even those that aren't here, we're listening to that as well. So compensation, we talked about in our last budget was, I think, up to $40,000 or $41,000. But as we discussed last year, that leaves $1,000 a month for housing. So no wonder, people can't find a place to live in Raleigh at $1,000 a month. And how that also translates to how many employees actually live in the city. I think that if we were to do a survey to see how many people live outside of Raleigh, I'd be interested to see how many do and what we can do to attract those that are in the city and to be able to bring people, back into the city who work for here. So I really just wanted to give thanks for that update on Friday, and as we're having this conversation, making sure we fold those in as this continues. But I do look forward to when you come back and what the ideas you're going to bring. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Okay, great job, everyone.
Thank you.
Lots of information, but very well presented and packaged, and I want to say thank you. Okay?
That's it.
We have no other business this evening. We will see you back here tomorrow. Meeting is adjourned.